Yay! Welcome! This is Christina. She's a dear, dear friend of mine. And she is very involved in quantum grammar. And I know a lot of you probably have heard this term or maybe getting into quantum law. And this can be quite complex, especially in the beginning. So I am an absolute beginner myself. I'm just diving into this topic, so I have a lot of questions. So the questions will come from a beginner mind. The way I see quantum grammar and why it is so vital for us to incorporate that is my mission is to completely embody the energetics of the Empress. And to me, this is a woman that is in her complete sovereignty and that creates the life of her dreams. And a dream to me, or a life of my dreams, is in which my imagination creates law. And imagination is God. So this is what living my dreams means. I create sovereign and I create my laws from my imagination from God. And Christina is to me a very, very, very impressive human being, a very impressive woman. I call her lioness because she's just so on her path and so firm with her process of creation. And I see quantum grammar almost like an upgrade of consciousness. It's almost, to me, the tool, the language tool to create this sovereignty and to create from a sovereign space. This is my perspective. Again, I'm excited to hear Christina's perspective. So we're just going to flow. And I'd love for you to maybe explain quantum grammar in your terms, or like from a broader perspective, what it did to your life. Yeah, I'm really, really excited for that.
Wow, thank you, Melissa, for that beautiful introduction and beautiful words. I was just like, wow. Oh. But first off, thank you for having me, and I would be happy to share my journey. It's definitely been a struggle, but I've come to be grateful for the struggle, because if I wasn't in the struggle, that means I'm not growing. So, first off, I want to point you to my name here. You'll see a colon and then a hyphen, my middle name, and then a colon, and then my last name, period. So, what that does is set my name as a fact. So, if you look at the clock, it says, like right now, it is 1:34. Fascinating. And there's a colon there, so we know it's communicating time. So there's no subjective it removes the subjective interpretation. Oh, well, 134, is it 134? Is it 13:4? Is it, so it opens all this subjective interpretation, whereas my name is placed as a fact that for the Christina-Beatriz of the Awayan family. So it's placed in a mathematical interface or grammar to precept the facts. Um, so how I came into this
So
knowledge
I don't want to
is
interrupt. Just like I'm sure a lot of people have questions. If my name, and I just copy pasted yours, I've seen it before, but I can't speak about what that means. If there's just Melissa Renate Funk, what would that mean? Or am I now out of law or in some sort of legality? Like, what does it mean if my name is just placed as is without
without the punctuation. Great question. So if you look on your driver's license or your birth certificate, you'll see your name in all capitalization. And what that is code for the Black's Law dictionary, or jurisdiction. So that place, the all caps is a code that puts you in the court system or the corporation meritocracy, which is your courts, your government. So it's all caps, where your birth certificate is the first contract that allowed them to contract behind behind your back, basically. There's a lot of information out there, a lot of rabbit trails. Don't want to get too far into that, but basically, it's code for you're in that system, and the colon Christina-Beatriz colon Awayan puts me into the quantum banking system, which is in juxtaposition as dual citizenship. So I'm here, but I'm in the world, but not of it. So I'm part of the quantum banking system. So the name, I don't want to have the all capital name because that's their format. I am now placed as a fact in the correctness. So it cannot be manipulated. And I can go further into that as to why it can't be manipulated.
Beautiful. Just to recap, so if I use the punctuation, I can state that I'm sovereign and I can energetically free myself through inner work and all of these things. But through the language and this, I'm basically in the physical stating I'm no longer in this world. I'm outside of it. And I'm in quantum law right now. And I'm operating in quantum law, right?
Yeah. So when you get your live life claim, it's basically that's like the birth certificate. So you're saying, hey, I'm a living being. So if you were to go and close the birth certificate account, they'll say, you have killed your child. You are a murderer, blah, 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 because again, they can interpret it. It's that subjective interpretation. Whereas I am a live life claimant. I'm a living being. I breathe and I am conscious and I'm able to make sovereign choices. So you're stating a claim. So that birth certificate doesn't allow you to state a claim because it's in what we call fiction language. When the quantum grammar, quantum banking system was created, it had to identify what this matrix we're living in. What is that? How do we give closure to that? And we call it fiction, in the sense of they're not there. So to take that into when I'm feeling like I'm powerless, well, let me back up as to why I got into this, because that's going to tie into why that powerless feeling. I I have 3 kids, and I was in a marriage prior to the kids' dad, and I had made peace to move on and move forward, and not be stuck in a um, um, I'm I'm able to come now to a place where I can call a spade a spade. It was a very narcissistic type of relationship. I hate to use that word because I don't want to judge, but there's also um, being able to uh, identify the energies, right? So I was like, okay, I know I'm more than that. I do want to be a business owner. I had dreams and all that was being shut down over here. And I was like, that's not for me. That's not serving me. So made the decision to leave and move forward. And I pictured my life, me and the kids, and, was going to, I knew that we would have to share the kids. Well, was pulled through the court system. I did not file the papers. The kid's dad did. And it started me on this journey of going through the courts, the divorce court. And I felt like I was losing every time and couldn't get the truth that what was happening with me and the kids in to the court. Like, hey, here's my story. Instead, and now mind you, I've had 4 lawyers The first one, I did not know, basically attacked their counsel and said all this stuff because I shared what happened to me. And they're like, oh, domestic violence, da, 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 and just made a mountain out of a molehill. And I didn't know that was done. They were doing it behind my back. The next lawyers that I got were two women that piggybacked off each other. And I thought maybe a woman would understand my position. But the judge in the court basically knew what was going on, and he shut down that energy, and basically he had to, fluff his feathers, show who's the boss. And then the last one, older gentleman, I had to go for like the father figure, something. I realized I was looking to uh, uh, um, the lawyer that I had used before. um, Went back to them, and then the women, and then the older gentleman, and I tried to like position, like, okay, if this was your daughter, what would you do? And he couldn't, he was stuck. And I didn't understand why. And I'm like, why are we losing? And then on top of that, there was molestation and and I'm just so not. I want to be real and raw, but if there are babies around, if you have kids, this is kind of a sensitive. I want to be mindful. I'll just spell it out: RAPE. There was that involved, and I did my due diligence to report it and do everything that I could do, and it all got shut down. And I was like, God, why? What's going on here? And then the C word, COVID, came into play. And so I ended up taking my kids out of that state and to come here where I live now, because there was mixed stories. You couldn't leave your house. The state was being shut down, all of that. And I had just sold my house and I was supposed to leave my house. So I was like, where am I supposed to go? So I came out here. At that time, I was in a new relationship. So we came up here. So long story short, 6 months later, had a court hearing, and within 10 minutes, lost custody of my kids. And I was shocked. I was like, I don't have any drug history. No, I'm a good mom. Although that began to come into question as after I had to hand them over to their dad. And I was like, I don't know if I'm going to see my kids. Because that was the kind of person I was dealing with. I knew who I've had 8.5 years of experience with him. I knew what I was up against. It's his way or the highway. He will pull dirty tricks, and there was no reasoning with him. And it is playing out today that my family, everybody, we're all witnessing what I was married to, or what I had to be stuck in the same house with, because I don't feel like that was a marriage at all. So, long story short, had to hand the kids over, and it's been a battle since, in the sense of with myself. I questioned myself. Did I lose them because I was a bad mom on one hand, but I knew that there was fraud in the court. I just didn't know how. So that's what led me to find the quantum grammar. I learned about syntaxing, and what that is being able to break apart the words and the sentence structure. So when I found out that these contracts, which are the court paperwork and corporate work paperwork, is all in this fraudulent syntax that is 125% engineered. That means it was created to be fraudulent and to say nothing, so that the person that holds this contract can make it mean they could say, oh, I want to do this, and then flip on you. I'm sure we've all dealt with broken promises and people saying one thing and doing another. So within that week, when I had to hand the kids over, there's a lot of details in between. I want to kind of move. There's that consciousness part, but I want to bring it back over to how I found out about it. And it did kick up my consciousness awareness, who I am, and being able to find myself and know where I am in time and space. Because over here within this court system, it's like, wait, how come I couldn't get control? I couldn't get the lawyers to get the truth of the matter, and my kids were not being heard. I wasn't being heard, and I was like, what is happening? Well, after I handed my kids over September 28th, 2020, so we're coming up almost 3 years ago that this happened. Within that week, I found out, it was either the week before or the week after, I watched a documentary called Last Flag Standing. And it was about this gentleman, Colin Russell, J. Colin Gold. He's the Postmaster General of the world. And he was sharing his troubles in the court and how he's won all of his cases, but he had to earn that. He basically corrected the grammar on contract. And so let me back up once again. Him and his partner, who passed in 2018, I believe, David Wynn Miller. You'll probably see a lot of his stuff on YouTube. However, I would just listen with a grain of salt, listen lightly. But he went to court 66 times to fight for his kids because his kids were also taken. So that's what caused him to look into the grammar. He was already in grammar studies, and that situation caused him to break the code on the grammar. And what I mean by that is 1 + 2 = 3, 3 - 2 = 1. So the sentence is read forwards and backwards. So I could change my name for the Awayan of the Christina-Beatriz is with the family by the postmaster's claim. You can move the facts around, but you still have the same volition. You still have that conveyance in the grammar. We're talking about, I'm of the Awayan family, no matter how you move the facts around. Whereas the judges, they would take the words the way that it was formatted, and they could make it mean whatever they want. And you think you got a court order or a judgment saying this, and this. Well, what was that order founded on? Was it because the judge liked you because you guys had the same frequency of a narcissist and abusing people, and they want to keep that the family's broken apart? They obviously knew I was of the light because that system chewed me up and spit me out. And I thought, what was wrong with me? And why am I not, am I deceived? I mean, I went inward to it really showed where I was weak-minded. It really showed me where I was believing I was way too naive in a sense, but I wasn't in a sense. So again, there's that duality part that I was learning to polarize. I needed to have my boundaries in place, and my boundaries there were none. I mean, clearly I was in a relationship where I was threatened if I left, he would get full custody and call the cops on me. And I was afraid. I was like, well, I don't want to get arrested. And you know what I'm saying? Like, I was so easily gullible. I didn't know my power in that sense when it came to this 3D world. Yet I would have angelic encounters. I would experience miracles. I would experience all this stuff within my own space. But there's even a scripture in the Bible that still sticks with me, that we could be so heavenly minded that we're no earthly good. And that's not the message of the the heaven is on earth, and we're to bring it out. So when I found out about this quantum grammar, it took me, it goes within. It hits deep places, because when you're writing out a sentence, you're accountable for that sentence, for that structure, right? So do I want to write down, I hate my ex? Do I want to write that down and have that in my now space wherever I go? Do I want that energy magnetizing? And it started to, it wrecked my mind in a beautiful way. It obliterated any sense of um, who I was, in the sense of there was a lot of fiction codes stuck in my mind and in my energy body. Um, Even the other day when I was driving and I saw a police officer, I still had that reaction. And I'm like, whoa, they have zero authorization. I have the flag. Why is my body responding this way? Because of the threat that the threat of a police officer and what they could do, because might makes right. So to bring it back to the consciousness side of it, we're talking about we're talking about grammar that is opening up the quantum and placing it as a fact and moving it forward in this world. That these are the facts, this is my authorization, and it can move your volition. So that is not this system. If you have if you have bad volition, in the sense if you want to cheat someone, this system will chew you up and spit you out, because it's going to bring consciousness. It's going to bring that, hey, you're not supposed to be doing this. Hey, and you will be found out. So David Wynn Miller, who founded the quantum grammar, or broke the code, and it's so simple: 1 + 2 = 3, 3 - 2 = 1. And if we could translate that to energy, and I go, hey, 1 + 2 = 3, 3 - 2 = 1, you feel that. But if I say 1 + 2 = 3, 3 - 2 = 0, yeah, go ahead and sign here. And you're like, wait a minute, that didn't feel right. That why? And everything inside you is going off like, no, 3 - 2 does not equal 0. And you want me to sign, wait a minute. But then the system, because might makes right, they have the manpower, they have the guns and clubs. So you're afraid. And I found out that the courts have dampeners to dampen your energy so that you cannot tap into your energy body.
What
That didn't work for me.
what do you mean
Those
by that? Like
dampeners,
actual like what do you mean by that?
yeah.
Like
So dampeners,
energetic dampeners, or
yes, energetic dampeners that would magnetically send the wrong frequency to shut down your energy body. It didn't work on me. Man, I went in there
like who
and
do you
what
believe
was it?
set this up? Is this consciously set up this way, or is it just
Yeah,
because of the frequencies of lies? No, it's consciously created.
it's consciously set up that way. They know exactly what they're doing. Everything is symbolic. And so just to give you a sample of the United States District Court in the county of, let's say, Los Angeles, UN means no. So unknighted, and then ed is a past tense. So we're stuck in a past tense reality. UN means no. So that's why I don't like saying understand, because I'm not no standing. Unstoppable. Nobody can stop you, right? But we don't comprehend, understand, like we're standing under somebody. So do you understand me? And you say, yeah, I understand. Like, no, we want to use the word comprehend. Hey, I follow what you're saying. So unknighted states, which is a district or a municipal jurisdiction, And then district, all DIS means no. And you can actually go online and find, so this is parsing the words, and you can go on at EYT at ETMYO online, so Etyma online, and you could look up these prefixes and it'll tell you no. It says no. So district is DIS is no, trick, god of the trickery, the Satan god of trickery. It's right there in district. And look at district school, the district number 193, I think here. The demon god of trickery, court, which is jurisdiction, and then in the county of wherever. And it's placed in an adverb verb or adverb adjective pronoun scenario. So that means you have a pronoun, but then that adverb or adjective describes that, but then you have a modifier, which is an adverb that modifies the whole word. So you're like, well, wait a minute. There's a power of modification. Well, who's modifying it? And to where are we modifying it? So I like to call ourselves space benders because we could bend the space around us, right? So the now space is the new authorization that nobody ever thought of except for Colin Russell J. Gold. He has jurisdiction or authority, so jurisdiction authority. He has the authorization over the now space, and he has given us tenant rights to piggyback off of his island of papers, contracts that have been in place. They have been banked at the World Court of The Hague. I've never heard of that. So there's a world court at the UN, at the Department of State, at the Department of Justice, at all the departments, these governments. They all know about who Colin Russell J. Gold is. And so it's been banked there. And so are there any questions, anything coming up? Because my mind just went blank. And so I'm just going to take a moment to pause.
Beautiful.
I want people to just stay connected.
The question, so that's why I blanked.
Okay.
Okay. So do you believe that, or do you know, because it sounds like the judges are trained in that language, right? Because this is how to basically distort the contracts. Is that something they're trained in? That lawyers are trained in and that judges are trained in?
Yes. So there's a lot of history of millions of attorneys that are aware of this. As far as the new people, I don't know. At the lower level, I don't know. But the higher up, for sure, know. Banks know about this. So they're all, so if you look at the Bar Association, the British Accredited Registry, I don't know if anybody knew that that is a British entity. What are the British entities doing here? Well, come to find out, there is a post office, a Benjamin Franklin post office, which we all know who Ben Franklin is. And, you know, we have a plumber over here that called it the Ben Franklin plumber service. And I'm like, little did you know that Ben Franklin is a triple agent. He was a French attorney, a British spy, and an American, I mean, we could call him an assassin, even though any vowel followed by two consonants is a no contract word. However, he had the knowledge of the cursive, the cursive writing, the knowledge of the grammar that can be manipulated. There's so much here that I want to be mindful of there's a couple of videos that I can give you links to understand, to comprehend the history of what happened in America and why our flag almost got handed over to the British monarch, which would have made them the ultimate power, and what happened in 1999. So, to put a pause on the Ben Franklin post office in the Washington, D.C. or Pennsylvania, back in 1999, Colin Russell, J. Colin Gold, and David Wynn Miller both captured the flag on paper, on contract. Why? Because we were coming out of a third bankruptcy. So we were in 3 bankruptcy. And when we come out of a bankruptcy, that flag would have been handed over to the British monarch. So all that manipulation that I went through, my truth or my situation could not be pushed in because they have volition. Their volition is to keep families divided, to keep separation, to keep kids from their mother or father. If they could sense good in you, they could see that you're of the light. They want the abuse. They want that because they can control the people. So, with that in mind, imagine if the British monarch would have been in power globally. So, that was what was going to happen. But Colin Russell, J. Colin Gold, and David Wynn Miller, they captured the flag on the grammar, on contract. So, when they banked all these documents showing the continuance of the evidence, they told him, and this is him telling us when I've gone to his workshops, they said, you are correct. However, all the land's been taken up. What land do you want? And he said, the land of the court, the documents. And where do we have documents? We have documents when we go to the bank. We have to fill out paperwork. When we go open up a cell phone, get a cell phone, you have to sign documents. When you go to the court, you have documents. When you sell a patio, you have documents, right? Paper, that's the land. And all the words have become cargo on that document. So I have now placed my name not only as a fact, but it is now cargo words on that land, on that document of correctness. But where do I want this document, this court, to go? Wherever I want to go. Obviously, I want to load up my factual name, my children's factual name, and we're going to sail. Where do we want to sail? Maybe I want to go to Florida. Maybe one day I want to go to Nicaragua. Oh, hey, we want to go visit my parents in Arizona. Let's go. So that's what we're doing on contract, but we're using the postal route. We're using ships, channels, shipping lanes. Now I realize you're going to be like, what? That's exactly how I felt. But this one video that we found out about the birth certificate system, the British monarch, and the Benjamin Franklin post office, it's all connected. They all use shipping. So we don't know we're in a banking war, shipping war, and postal war. We're not at war with Ukraine. We're told, oh, these nuclear bombs and all this other stuff. No, it's contract. The fiction are fighting each other. The fiction will kill fiction. So back to the Benjamin Franklin post office. Colin Russell, J. Colin Gold, was able to go into Ben Franklin's bank books and see that we borrowed 1.6 million francs to position ourselves in 1776. You know how everybody celebrates 4th of July, the Day of Independence? IN means no, DE means no, pen, is a prison. I put my dog in a little pen when I leave so that he doesn't go pee and poop everywhere, right? I confine him. So we have no pen, and then dense. And I looked up that word dense, and it comes up DENCE, but it is a air, like your density. either is going to be light or heavy. So this cup is dense with ceramic, whereas this, is wood, is a little bit lighter. And I was like, they're tapping into our energy. They're the density of our energy, the molecule, the atoms, right? So no, locking up our molecules. So we've come in. We're celebrating locking up our molecules. So I just want to say, side note, that spirit totally revealed all of that right now. Because I didn't know that before. I knew no, and I knew the pen, and I remember thinking about the dense, and I was like, okay, I don't quite know, and then it all just came together. So I'm kind of tripping right now, but this is super cool. I love talking about this. I hope you guys are sticking with us. I hope, if even if you don't comprehend, your molecules know this already. They know what's up. So back to the post office, the real July 1st, 1775 was actually when the contracts were signed, and you have 1 year, 1 day before it become law for government. And we think we're celebrating Independence Day. We are celebrating being contracted, being slaves. So July 1st, 1775 is the real, the true date. Before that, people were free. We didn't have contract. We didn't have birth certificates. We were already free before then. And so we came into slavery. So Colin Russell J. Colin Gold read the bank books, followed the money, and exposed it. And it's there. He's like, if you know how to get in there, if you have the mechanics to get into that post office, you can see it for yourself. And so with that knowledge, he was able to stop and correct. He was able to stop and correct all of the Constitution, because they're not alive anymore to renew that. So he had to stop and correct the fiction grammar, because it's also written in cursive. And so the International Styles Manual, which is the manual by which all countries contract, those are the laws that they contract with each other. So anything in a box is removed from the page. Anything italicized is not there. Anything in a quote, in a bracket, parentheses, it's not there. So if you look at your mortgage statement, everything is in a box. If you look at your utility bill, same thing. If you notice the italics and the quotation and the boxes, you'll see like, okay, why are they putting that there? So there's a reason. It doesn't exist. It's not on the page. But if you don't know that, you think, oh, just side note, right? That's what I thought it was. Just side note. It doesn't mean that. So the International Styles Manual, we've been moved away from. We don't know the rules. Well, Chief, what we call him Chief, was able to syntax everything and bring it correctness. So I know there's a lot of sovereign nationals out there, and this is in no way, I want to validate the heart and what spirit is bringing you to learn, like, oh my gosh, like we don't have to follow this law. We don't, this is a BS law. Wait a minute, and trying to get to the root of things, right? However, the sovereign national is like not quite hitting it's not quite connected, because it's still in the fiction grammar. So the quantum grammar takes you completely out of that system and into the correctness, but the heart is still the same. We still want our autonomy or sovereignty, right? We want to govern ourselves. Oh, that's okay. I'll handle this on my own. Or, hey, I don't want to comply with that. No, I don't want to get the job. And you can have documentation to safeguard yourself. However, the sovereign national movement is still, it's the grammar. So back to the World Court at The Hague, when they banked the judgment, uh, they said, Russell, you are correct. When the lands which he owned, he syntaxed everything, all of this matrix, and there's so much uh, movement out there about getting out of the matrix and getting out of the the corrupt corporation. And I found myself starting to reject everything. When we were on this journey a couple of years ago, I was like, I cannot say that word. I don't want to bring that code, and I don't want it to mess up my signals. And I would get kind of religious about it because I didn't want it to touch me. Don't touch me. I didn't want anything to do with government. And I had to grow through comprehending that it couldn't touch me because it doesn't exist. So I started getting less and less anal about things, for lack of a better word, because it can be pretty intense when I lock in onto something. I want to go all the way. So in that journey, learning that not only is there a duality within our corporation, I didn't want anything to do with corporation. But what I learned on the consciousness side, on the being aware, what a beautiful concept the corporation can be. What's on trial here is your volition. They have bended this space, the molecule, the atoms, to a self-centered, selfish. They bent it to a volition that is not other-centered. Whereas my volition for using the corporation, because I have my name is a corporation, my social security is a corporation. Once I salvage that, make a claim on that, which I will just mentally note that I will come into what that means. The On the corporation side, I had to forgive corporation just because they twisted it and they distorted it and bent it to use us as batteries to charge their system. I had to forgive. I had to forgive, you know, everything connected to that, because the paperwork is also known as a bill of the lading. And that bill of the lading is what moves your vessel, moves goods, moves your cargo. And I had to open my eyes to see it as, no, I could use this technology to move good volition, even though they use it for bad. So what Chief has done and what he stood on, it's been, I think, 26, 27 years. He was a young guy when he went into the courts and talked to the judges. He got judges to come down off of the bench. From my knowledge, it cost $10,000 to do that. And they did it because they saw what he was doing. And that moved me. I was like, man, that is the same function for me in my now space, and how I commune with people, and how it's getting to the heart of the matter and being fair. But what do you do when people aren't being fair? What do you do when you're not able to see your kids just because the ex gets to say no? That is a knife to the heart feeling. That is when I had to address or confront, am I powerless? Why do I feel I'm powerless? Because this outward reflection is saying that. Well, what is on the inside? What is the universal law on the inside that will back me if I do this, if I position myself here? And my mind was blown, because the law of, so attraction, that's a popular one. But A is a vowel followed by two consonants is a no contract word. So if you were to say attraction on a contract, it's not there according to contract law because they created that paradigm. So it's like, wait a minute. So if that's considered fiction and it's not there, how much are we believing that we think is there and it's not there and it's empty? So what am I doing? What am I fighting? And I started like, okay, well, what's the heart of law of attraction? I'm wanting to magnetize, right? Well, tract is like there's a track, right? There's a like contraction. You're bringing it in. Well, contract is a correct version of attraction. If you wanted to use it on contract, is the very thing itself. So I love how Alan Watts says, how do you point to the edge of your finger when you're the finger itself? How do you bite the very teeth when you are the very teeth itself? So it's like contract is the concept of attraction, but it's a stronger force in this world to move things into your now space. So Amazon, I go on there, buy, and I create a digital contract, right? And then that contract gets moved, and then the Amazon truck delivers it to my house. Now we know nobody can create a bill of lading or a paper that says, hey, I am to take this parcel right here, and I have a contract to do so. Amazon be like, nope, the end location is this address, this person right here, and it's going here. So essentially what's happened is that very thing. Somebody created a bill of lading blocking our movement, and it's up to us to gain the knowledge to push back and say, oh, you're breaking the law. You are violating, in violation of title such and such and such and such. I don't want to overwhelm, because it is a judicial system. When we're talking about the quantum grammar, is the ability to stop and correct. Title 42, section 1986. Knowledge of a wrong, and I have a duty to stop and correct. So back to the claim, when I'm a live claimant, I have a live claim in the Federal Rules of Civil Procedure. There is a 12B 1 through 7, and it's the protocol for stating a claim. They put it in a negative context. It's been corrected to put it in a positive context. So I get to mail this, and I get to register this mail, and I get to mail it to this individual, and I get to run this timeline, and I get to, right? You get to do these things. You get to partake in safeguarding your vessel, safeguarding your goods and your home and your cars and all of that. Nobody can take it from you, right? So this quantum grammar system aligns with our celestial being. It doesn't align with the shadow being. It will expose, or it'll show that part of you and say, hey, we gotta upgrade or connect to the version of you that is a warrior in this aspect, in this way. That the way of the authoritarian. So to go kind of on the astrological side, I'm a Cancer descendant. So this is my comprehension. I'm a Cancer descendant. So family and love and relationships, and look what's broken in my world. That very thing, right? So that is my strength, yet that's been pulled away from me. Yet my ascendant is Capricorn, which is authority. And what am I learning? Authority, speaking up, speaking my volition, and moving my cargo, right? So my chart is even showing, and it's all aligning with what it is that I'm walking through, what it is that I need to strengthen. And this quantum grammar will highlight that. So I've had to look at my shadow parts and reevaluate, where am I at with in time and space with the Cancer aspect? And then where am I in the Capricorn aspect? And I've got the true north in Gemini. So there's communication, there's that being student and communicating that experience, which is what I'm doing here now. So everything is like coming forward, but it's the quantum grammar that had to poke that place and call out and activate and charge it. Okay, now we're going to move. Oh, but I'm feeling this block. That's okay. Move. Oh, I'm feeling another block. Move, move. Those things are an illusion. This blocking is another person that doesn't know who they are. So there's so many layers that are connected to. It isn't just about getting my kids back. It's about me being in my now space and pressing out who I am now, and also growing and charging and um, allowing the methods to develop within me in the area of authority. Now, Jonathan, my husband now, can testify that that is not an issue for me because I know how to stay on point with XYZ. He's like, why can't you be like this to the world? And I'm like, because I have a safe, trusting relationship. The world doesn't provide that for me. And I had to even evaluate that for myself. So, wait, am I relying on an outside source to create safety for me? And I was like, wait a minute. I'm the one that creates that safety, and I bring that safety to others. So again, these contracts challenge your beliefs, challenge your volition. And volition is another word for intent. Ayan means no, tent. So you have no standing. So volition is your will and putting that on paper. Whereas the court, so back to that last lawyer that couldn't get mine and my kids' volition and the correctness and the fairness because they can't go into the heart. They cannot connect on the heart level because that heart, our hearts, which is connected consciously, will remind you, hey, why are you raping and pillaging? Why are you hurting these people? That heart will speak, right? But it wants to shut it down. And so it has to go into the lies. It has to go into an illusion. It has to go into a delusion. See, illusion, ILL, vowel followed by two consonants, no contract word, delusion, DE means no. So they have to go into this no, no, no negative condition of state for them to have a false sense of power, whatever their pride, whatever their ego bent, however that light is bent to feel important, I guess. I am is another no contract word. So why do we need to feel important when we're already gods? We're already that finger trying to touch our own fingertip with the very same finger. Contract, attraction. You can just contract and you don't have to sit here and beat yourself up. You get to just write it down and trust the universal law. So these negative condition of states have poked the ego, the egoic part, and that's why we have so much striving. And those were the parts that I had to shut down or learn to let go of. I had to learn the ego is not a bad thing in the sense of, I want to function in this world, right? I like the color pink. If everybody was the same, it would be boring. So yeah. Are there any questions so far? I'm trying to. I feel like I'm like going off in a lot of different directions, trying to like help stay connected and ground this.
You are just so beautiful, like so
Oh,
freaking beautiful,
thank
and
you.
it's so rare, and that's what I'm speaking about, and that's the transmission I want to provide for all women, basically. There's a lot, but it's like the way feminine power came through in the last 30, 40 years, maybe 100 years, was this illusion, this false sense of mental realm. To me, you are a depiction of feminine power, like coming from the heart and still incredibly intelligent. You know, this it's not one or the other. You can embody both. You can embody this safe feeling of there's this nurturing mother and still move with power. And just that you are an energy transmission. There's a lot of information for me. I'm just allowing it into my system. And there are questions coming up while you're saying certain things. So I think for a lot of people, it's just going to be watching a lot of, you know, content and getting familiar with the languaging part of it. So I'm still getting familiar with the languaging part of it. And so yes, there are questions, but I also believe that not all questions have to be answered right away, because this what you just delivered and still delivering is an energy transmission. So I know it's working with my system. There are some things where I'm like, what does that mean? And what is this? And what is this? And that's beautiful. That's okay. Some questions can stay questions and they will be answered as we continue on this. So yeah, I wanted to share this. To me, this that was massive. Just that safety that you now provide while still being in your absolute power, and being in your power and having that, providing that safety on a mental level doesn't mean you have to be away from your heart. And so you're teaching women how to embody true power. That is, I don't know if I have the right words to explain that, or if what I'm saying is landing, but that to me was just wow. And I wanted to mention that. I didn't want that to go unmentioned.
Yeah.
There were questions around just that contract thing that came up. When you said that basically when we're in front of a contract and now someone's telling us 2 + 3 is 4, and 4 - 1 is 2, and something is like, it's not stirring the Kool-Aid. So basically there are words that as we learned them in the past, these words seem legitimate and they kind of make sense, but something in us will always, our intuition, or I don't know if intuition, if we broke that word down, but our intuition is probably telling us, hey, if these words are correct, why does it feel so wrong? And so quantum grammar is basically dissolving that, because this false system used this to their advantage. And so we had to, like, through our life, we were basically tricked into not trusting our intuition, because anytime any one of us signed a contract, whatever it was, it probably always felt like crap. Because something in us told us, hey, the truth isn't on these papers. And our inner being always was able to tell something's off here, and I don't know what. I'm probably just too dumb. That's probably it. I probably just don't know what's going on here. Like, this is also what it did, at least in my experience. Like, anytime there's a contract and you read this and you're like, I guess I'm just a little too dumb. But the sentences were intentionally constructed in a way that they didn't even mean anything. So this to me is just a big thing that's coming up right now when you mentioned that, of like this easy equation of 1 + 1 = 2. Yeah, feels good, feels right? And how we've been basically tricked into this belief structure of like, oh, that realm, I guess we're just not intelligent enough for that realm, or we're just not meant to dabble in that realm, and there's someone always smarter and more intelligent than we are, so therefore we have to give our authority to these forces, because we're not even smart enough to understand a contract. So this is also what's coming through, which is totally broken right now. Like we're breaking these shackles.
Mm-hmm.
So that was
It's time for the space of the goddess arising or rising is with the power, authority, and clarity by these goddess celestial beings, um, conscious beings, postmasters. So the postmaster is the role of the postmaster allows you to be a master over your contracts. It is the function. So we have many hats, right? I'm not just a postmaster. I'm also a way shower, a light being, an energy being. The list goes on, and they try to confine us. They try to put independence, pen us into, you're just our slave. Go be miserable. Go drink. Go do drugs, and go do, whatever. And be out of balance, be wobbly in your energy because you don't know you have energy, and you think it's a craving, and you think it's a sin, and go to the church and go, be saved. And not that I'm against it's that limitation of thinking, like, well, why do I want to drink, or why do I want to run to food, or why? And it's like, allow your mind to render itself clear, allow your mind to come to that place of clarity. But it's the journey along the way. And I didn't think I had a voice because a lot of people didn't want to hear the feminine voice. They didn't want to connect to their heart. They wanted to hold on to that masculine, patriarchal system of I need this control, or I need this to submit to me. And rather than, how about we don't attach to those things? Again, another vowel followed by two consonants, attach. That is an illusory, again, another, see how it like compounds. And so, but I know the heart of it when I say it, the attachment that we have. Instead, how am I connecting? So I come into another word. I like the word connect. Connecting to food. How am I connecting to my dog, or how am I connecting to my kids? Oh, dang, I need them to validate me and be in my now space so I don't look like I'm a bad mom, and da, 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 whatever it may be. Instead, now, I'm able to love my kid. I had to learn to mother my kids using the quantum field, because I don't know what's going on in their day-to-day life. Our communication is whether or not they're with their dad or not. So when they're with their dad, they're more able to speak with me on the phone. And if they're not allowed, which is crappy for their now space. However, I know there's more behind the scenes, that this is to pull out. I was chosen and we all are chosen. But this was in my face, this technology of the masculine feminine, because it is masculine, right? The contracts are masculine, that I male, but the thought is feminine. So I created cargo words of thinking to put on a masculine vessel to move the heart that is me, and move and shift the atmosphere, right? So I had to learn that they weren't separated. I had separated them. I had shut down feminine parts of me. My masculine was emasculated and shut down, but yet I had a wounded masculine that would just, just kind of go run wild in a sense. And then I had a feminine that was wounded and hurt and victim and poor me. And how do I get out of this? There were a lot of moving parts, and I'm going, what is all of this? And the sentence structure of the quantum grammar, which I know we'll have future conversation, But I want to close with this because I'm not sure how long we're on here, but unless you have any other questions, but think of this sentence: for I am, of I am, is, with I am, by I am. It's not just you. You're not alone. You're with, you're of the I am, you're for the I am, with the I am, by the I am within. And it just, I mean, and then I replace it with love. For the love, of the love, is with the love, by the love, my volition and my, I am the I am the love, I am the patience, I am the, put any word in there, word code, but render it clear. And that's what the quantum grammar does, is help you render clear, get clear on the word, get out of that negative conditioned state and into your power. So thank you.
Your work untangles on a very deep energetic level. And I know that others will find you exactly where they're meant to and exactly when their space requires it. Um, this is so beautiful. I almost just want to end it off on that note. But something came to me. We create with our words. Our words are the vehicle for creation. And so I would love to hear your perspective on that last question. As I'm speaking words that have been misconstrued, probably purposefully, is this in any way limiting my power to create? Or does the heart of the moment always, or the now space, know what I'm intending to say, even though the words like understand? No, I'm replacing them. Like I just sometimes I feel like, okay, this doesn't feel high vibrational. Even the word thank you, I don't like to say it. It doesn't feel good to me. I don't know why. I'm still finding another language or another word for it. Um, so I'm trusting my intuition that when a word comes out that just doesn't feel like the energy I want to transmit, that there might be something off, and most of the time I find it. But we just got used to this language. And do you feel like using a language with some of the broken grammar, some of the broken words is impacting our creation power and to speak creation into existence? Or does the heart of the moment always know what's at the core of it?
It's both. The heart knows, the universe knows, the elements know. For the sample, Wi-Fi in our homes is sending off a frequency that's interrupting that open signal. So I had to learn that I'm not the problem, in the sense of I don't know how to create and my words don't have power. So there's a lot of parts in that work together, work in tandem. If I didn't believe, or if I didn't have knowledge, so a lot of people may not have experienced what I've experienced, but maybe their child is facing fear. And the mom doesn't want their kid fearing something. Oh, they're afraid of the dark. Oh, what do I do? How do I do this? And or maybe they fell and hurt themselves. There's that fear, right? And then there's the other end of the spectrum of your kids being moved out of your now space. So you have not that one is less or more, but the measurement, yes, it's going to hit the inside, your belief system more. So that fear, even though it's similar, it's the same, it just might be more intense. So the power that I learned to master here of my kids being out of my now space, I've had visions of what if they're taken, or um, what if they fell and broke their heart? I was convinced somebody broke their heart, or broke a bone or something, or I was convinced um, something was wrong. And I'd message Bella, my oldest. Um, is everything okay? Is everything good? She's like, yeah, we're fine. But in my mind, I was convinced something was wrong. So I had to master a level of fear that if you're a mom and your kids are in your now space, may not have had to face that kind of a fear, but there's a fear here, and then there's fears, different level, false evidence appearing real, or we're challenging our own. Are we creating our world with volition? Like, oh, my kids got this. Oh, there have been times that I've had to tell Bella, you know what? You're have fun. And inside I'm like, what are we saying? I said, have fun while you're there. And I had to let go. So it's both in the sense of I found my inner child in this journey, the kid within, that sense of pureness, of not questioning myself or doubting myself. So it brings the duality of we are creators and co-creators. I mean, I can release a frequency and I'll have angelic encounters, and yet I can't even get my kids in my now space. You know what I'm saying? Like, so there's that strength, and is it a weakness, or is it helping me grow this part of me to tap into the quantum field to mother my children? My daughter Emma, my youngest, she says that I appeared to her. She knew it was me, even though my form wasn't fully uh, manifest. It was, and I'm like, well, because I'm practicing that. How am I going to practice alchemical, astral level things if I'm not in position, right? So she said I appeared, and she knew it was me energetically, even though it didn't look like me. And I was like, whoa. And they'll have dreams. She's had a dream where she stepped into the phone over to here. So the phone was a portal. Though we're shifting into getting back to our power that has been, we've been dumbed down, and we're our bodies are more powerful. And this technology is bringing back, breaking the rules of the Newtonian, the 3D world. There's other laws that we can cooperate with. So it's both. If you are not seeing the transmission going through clearly, it's showing you where you could boost your power, and you have the quantum field, the quantum grammar, the quantum whatever it is that you're participating with to boost that, because we need that as a collective in this world. So it's both. I'm learning it's both duality, both polarities. Where are you at on that polarity? So it's showing you, oh, you're heavily bended over here. Let's bring it to a balance. So that's also another, see, there's so many words that I could pull out that it's worked on for me in my life. And it's leveled us up literally within this last week or so. It's leveled us up in a way that I'm like, holy crap. These people are real. The ones at the top are, okay, real. RE means no, no contract. AL, no contract. So these people are bending their space using bad volition, and it's invading on my now space. What am I going to do? Am I going to go into victim mindset? Am I going to attack myself, or am I going to do something about it? So I'm doing something about it. However, I'm on the edge of myself. I'm like, okay, how do and I got to get organized in my thinking. And this technology, whether it's the quantum grammar, anything quantum, the alchemy of it, the transmutation of it, the heart, the mind it's connected to the quantum realm. So, or even our bodies, our everything is symbology, but yet present in this world. So it will show you areas that you can grow, but it's designed that way so that we could um, bring our higher self. I don't like using that higher self because it's not like it's over there and I gotta do this to get over there. It's the I am power within, and I'm positioned here. Okay, as that position, what move would I make? So I've got to organize my thinking, tap in, boom, the answer comes. So it's memory, it's remembering who you are. Again, the sentence structure expands you, pulls you out of that and into your now. And are you going to move? So, and to be able to do that on contract and have your own judicial system and have those compliance, but tap into a power where you create that compliance. And that's what we've graduated to. So there's different levels as you get into this. So I hope that answers your question. I know that's another deep well, but yes, your words are heard on an energetic level because it really our words should if we're really tapping in, work themselves out of a job and go back into our telepathy, our telekinesis, our using our mind and our volition to move this, shift that, see it this way, bam, it's in this dimension because it's true, it's authentic here. I think it, I'm holding it, and I'm not moving from this place, and I project that. There's areas I'm like, dang, my projection is kind of weak there, but I get to work this and see it shift and change because this is we're in instead of being in the matrix, I'm in a creatrix. If I can create.
Wow, interesting timing.